What was the focus for you, Breece, this offseason?
Just again getting back healthy, and then just working. I think just getting back to the basics after a season, after you don't have as successful as a season as you want and everything. Just going back to the basics, and that's just hard work. So.
What do you think of this offense you're going to be playing on this year?
It's looking fun right now. During OTAs, you're not really, running the ball and, ground and pound as much. But so far, it's been cool. It's been good to, get around Tanner and all the new coaches, AG and everybody. I've really enjoyed them. I like the people that we have around here. A lot of new faces in the building, so it's been good.
Among those new faces, just how's it feel playing with Justin Fields?
It's been good. He's real cool, calm, and collected, and brings another sense of calm to the offense. And just seeing how he works and how diligent he is, and how he cares. He's trying to gain relationships with everybody, and how he goes about his business. It's been fun so far. He gets hype like everybody else. He's young like us, so we talk about a lot of the same stuff. We can hang out on the weekends, and it's just been cool to be around. He's a good dude.
Do you watch like Detroit stuff?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of like how they run their offense. Have a two-back system, and have always been able to make really explosive plays with all their receivers, tight end. Having all these weapons and everybody be able to eat. So yeah, I've always watched them.
From the moment you got here, or pretty close to it, you've always been like the guy in the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Now Aaron Glenn is talking about using all three running backs.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you react to that? It might not mean as many carries this year, or
Mm-hmm.
other guys are getting chances. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm not obligated to anything. I'm around new GM, new coaches, a lot of new faces. So for me, I got to go prove that I am the guy. That's every day. I feel like my skill set. I'm a three-down back, is second to none to a lot of backs in the league. So, we have a great running back room, a lot of healthy competition. But for my mentality is, every day I'm going to prove that I am the best back on this roster, one of the best backs in the league. So, I have a quote on my phone that says, "If not me, then who?" I look at it every morning, and that's like my internal motivation, because I'm very self-motivated. So, that's that.
Where did that come from? Where did the self-motivation come from?
Just myself, just growing up, I was never a person to where my parents had to, so much push me to do stuff and push me to want to be competitive and be great and be the best at stuff. It was always just me, that's just in my makeup, good genetics. So my parents have done really well of, setting a good mentality and good foundation for me and the way I go about stuff and how I think. So I feel like, like I said, every day I just wake up with that motivation to, do you want to just show up, or do you want to get better?
You were in one offensive system with LaFleur, and you were in another one with Nate, and now you're in Tanner's.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically about this scheme do you believe will get more out of you than anything else?
I feel like to a certain extent, a lot of offenses in the NFL are pretty similar. It just, I know Tanner loves to run the ball. So for me, just getting ready for that. But he also knows how I can be effective in the pass game. And, him and AG always tell me, like, Breece, you're gonna do everything. So for me, it's getting ready just to do everything. It's like this. It's not such a different approach to being in one offense or the other offense. For me, I have to be ready to, be a three-down back and be a threat to do everything. So I feel like it's not really a different approach I have to take.
There wasn't one game last year where you had 20 carries, which is kind of hard to believe after what you did the previous couple of years. What was it? Was it frustrating last year? What was it like for you?
Yeah, it was. It's always frustrating when you're not, as a team, and then individually when you're not, winning games and playing as well as you expect. And then after that, after the season, everybody, there's always somebody to blame, or somebody that the blame gets put on, and a lot of it just so happened to kind of be on me. So it was like, okay, just get back to the drawing board. And like I said, I just get back to, working hard. I know what I can do. I know the potential I have, but, potential only goes so far. I want to be a product. I want to be able to say that I've done everything I wanted to do. So, that is what it is.
How did you process that and move past that to get yourself in the mindset you needed to be?
Yeah, when you're not playing good, hurt, and everything, it sucks. But it is what it is. Life goes on. This is a job at the end of the day. So if you're not doing your job, then you're going to be replaced. So for me, like I said, is just get back to the drawing board and get back to, who I am, being who I am, and being able to come in, do my 111th, do my job every day, and prove that I belong to be here.
You obviously hear that there are people doubting you or whatever you said about the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that is in your mind as you move toward this season? Or?
Oh yeah, always in the back of my mind. Like I said, I'm around a lot of new faces, a new coaching staff, a new GM, a lot of new people. So for me, my mentality is to prove to them and prove to myself every day, that I belong to be here. So
Yeah, we're at, as you know, around the draft, were all those trade rumors.
Mm-hmm.
Like people thought you were a goner. What was it like for you? How did you process at that time?
I was seeing it just like everybody else was seeing it, but like I said, if people feel like you aren't doing your job, you're going to be replaced. So, it didn't happen. I'm here. AG called me and told me he wanted me to be here. So, for me, that meant a lot. But like I said, I'm here. I'm here to work. I'm here to do my job. So, and prove to them that I deserve to be here.
Did you talk when you saw those rumors pop up? Did you just see what happens, or did you call Aaron? Did you call Darren just to see what?
Nah, at first I just kind of like, okay, we'll just see what happens, And then, AG called me and, told me that he's like, Breece, do you think I want to trade you? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, Breece, I don't want to trade you. So I want you to be here. You're gonna be here. You're a running back, and so that felt really good. And then just to sit down with him and have a lot of long conversations, and for him to fill me out, for me to get to know him and everything, it's been cool. And to see how our practices have gone and how competitive he likes it to be, and how he likes to put the ball down and just let us play. It's been fun.
Breece, this is a little off topic, but they just installed real grass at MetLife Stadium. I
Mm-hmm.
have some World Cup club matches that are coming up for FIFA. Would you like to play on real grass every week? Just kind of wondering what your thoughts on that. A couple NFL players have already weighed in and said,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could have that.
For me, I feel like younger people, when you're younger, you're not really feeling the difference of the grass and the turf. It's kind of just like, okay, whatever. But for older guys, I know they like to play on grass more so than turf. But for me, I don't really feel too much of a difference. So, I don't want to say it doesn't matter to me, but wherever you put the ball down, that's where I'm playing at. So it could be on cement, it could be wherever you want to put it down, that's where I'm gonna be. So.
Breece, how serious was your knee injury that you were dealing with toward the end of last year?
Yeah, it was pretty serious. If I could have gone back, I probably would have taken a little more time off. But I felt like the team needed me out there. I wanted to be out there, but I feel fine now. So God willing, I was able to heal up and be healthy and everything. But I feel great now. So that's in the past. That was that. And now I'm just ready to keep moving forward.
You didn't get any procedures or anything?
Nah, no procedure, nothing, nah.
This is a big year for you, contractually. How big of a motivator is that going into your last year?
That's always a motivator, but regardless of it being my contract year or not, I didn't have a good season last year. So, me not trending up, that's all the motivation I need for me to want to be better. So, we're going to keep getting ready and keep preparing, and, whatever happens this season, God willing, I stay healthy and able to do everything I want to do. But if that's not in God's plans for me, then it is what it is,
Saquon just got a pretty lucrative extension from Philly. There's been so much talk about 5-6 years about running backs getting paid, running backs getting paid. Do you not see an opportunity to go out there and continue to move that forward, the ball forward with that?
Yeah, the opportunity is there, but at the end of the day, I have to be the one to prove that I deserve the opportunity and deserve to be on the field.
What's going on? How we doing?
Good. How you doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for asking.
What's been your biggest takeaway from Justin, from when you first got your hands on him to now kind of where you are starting this second day in Minicamp?
The biggest takeaway I would say is that this guy is just a workaholic. He comes in early, he's here late, and he's trying to digest everything and download all the information and do things the right way. He's trying to do things that we're asking, and I think he's just he's really put the next foot forward every day, just trying to stack days, and it's been really good.
I know it's early, but just talk about just what he brings as far as leadership and everything to the table as well.
Absolutely, and I think AG touched on this a little bit the other day. Just kind of a quiet confidence about him, a little lead by example. But if you could be in the huddle, there's some command there, and when he's talking, the guys listen. And I think that's part of the best part about it is he doesn't have to be overly vocal or outlandish and over the top with his communication with guys. It's just really an example, lead by example. And when something needs to be said, he'll say it, and they'll listen.
How much have you enjoyed watching Garrett Wilson practice? Because he practices with intensity. He also is making some ridiculous catches out there, too.
Yeah, and Garrett is he's continuing to improve every single day and learn the way that we want to run the routes all the time without taking his creativity away. Just him learning when he needs to be in certain places at certain times, because that's where the quarterback expects him to be. But yeah, he's making some catches now. He had one the other day. He had one last week. Clearly an elite athlete, and we're looking forward to him continuing to get a hold and a grasp of this offense and take it to the next level.
How do you blend and marry that part of Garrett where you want a guy, I assume, who's kind of a precision route runner? I think most offensive coordinators feel that way. But then as so many people talk about the quote-unquote superpowers, find a slot in the field and just get open.
Mm-hmm.
He has kind of an innate ability to do that.
Yeah, he is. We talk about it really in the evaluation process about instinctual players. Garrett is a very instinctual player, and there is a fine line to being call it overly instinctual, if you will, but being able to get to where he needs to be at the time that he needs to be there.
With your top three running backs, how would you compare and contrast the complementary skill sets they have, and how do you envision that working out with games?
Yeah, I think they're all three going to play. Just as you said, that those top three guys, they're all pretty darn good football players, and they all have a little bit of a different skill set. You can see just by watching them. And so we'll see how the game plan goes, but they'll all be involved in one way, shape, or form.
What have you learned about Breece so far in your time with him?
Yeah, he's got a very good skill set. Again, same type of comment there. But he's a worker. Like I said the last time we were in here, he's just a worker. He's going to go to work. He works on his craft. He's detailed, and he is an all-around player. He's not, I would say, not pigeonholed into one type of back. He's not an inside runner, not an outside runner. He kind of can do a lot of all of it. And then again, the pass game is huge for us too.
How is the receiver position shaping up beyond Garrett?
Yeah, the receiver room is shaping up pretty good. I think these guys are all coming along as we learn the system, and they're all getting their opportunities to get out there and make plays, whether it's in the team periods or 7-on-7s, and even in the walkthroughs, because we have to look at that, with a close eye as well to see the technique. But the guys are improving every day. They're putting their best foot forward. They're giving great effort and trying to learn the details of everything.
To that point, how would you assess this? How Arian Smith has performed, like just throughout the month you've had him?
Yeah, Arian's done a nice job. Arian he's come in, and I feel like he's taken a hold of what we've asked him to do. He flashes his speed at times, and then he has some of those rookie moments where he's maybe buffering a little bit as he's running the routes, and so maybe his speed doesn't show up occasionally. But as he continues to get comfortable in this thing, he has a skill set to be a player in this league, and we're fired up to have him.
Well, presuming he's healthy for training camp, what does Malachi have to do to make himself a factor in the receiving competition?
Just do what he's asked to do. Ultimately, be out there, be present.
What specifically does he have to? He's missing a lot of time. What does he have to work on to get his game to that level?
That's a great question, really, for him to ask. How do I get myself mentally caught back up because I wasn't able to get the physical reps this spring? And ultimately, that's going to be what it is, because the other guys do. They have a handful of practices ahead of him and those physical reps, so he's going to have to find a way to catch himself up with that stuff.
What have you seen from Joe Tippmann so far?
Joe's been great. He's done a phenomenal job in there. Setting the huddle, making the mic points, making the calls, getting the O-line going the right way. That's one thing that we're kind of noticing as we go, is it looks like things are coordinated up front. We're targeted properly. We're going to the right guys, whether it's in the run game or the pass game, and he's done a nice job with that.
Offensively, I know you guys love competition and all positions are correct.
Mm-hmm.
With the offensive line, is it maybe a little more important to have those five set so that they can then all work together? And is there a point in time where you kind of would like to have that group so they can start to really get that chemistry going?
Sure, you'd love to say that you have the five right away and you know it, but in reality, you're going to play 10 guys, maybe 8, 9, 10 guys throughout the season, so they're all going to have to learn how to play with each other. But we don't have a specific time frame or a specific date in training camp. I practice 12. We got to have it. That'll make itself clear when it does.
What do you get out of the GoPro quarterback's helmet?
It's awesome. I'm just telling you, I can't believe we didn't do this before. It is unbelievable. We can hear him call the play in the huddle. We can hear him at the line of scrimmage, making his check, whatever it needs. So you can see his eyes, where he's going. And then you can see him go through the progression. You can see everything from his vantage point. And we also get some nice tidbits of commentary in there, which is pretty fun to hear too.
Did you get that idea from somewhere, or did
Yeah.
you evolve?
Yeah, great question. We did it a couple years ago in Detroit, and Charles London had done it as well previously, and we just kind of started talking about it as we were getting things going here, and we said, let's give it a shot in rookie minicamp and see what it looks like. And then we loved it, and we just said, let's just do it. Everybody's doing it the whole time, and it's been phenomenal for those guys. It gives direct feedback. Shoot, the O-line coach is in there watching the tape with his O-line. You know what I mean? Because you can hear everything. You can hear the calls, and so it's been really beneficial for us.
How goes it to even just sit down and watch with Justin and see where he's looking like live in a moment like that? That's got to be a pretty unique perspective to be able to get for you, right?
Yeah, no, it is. It's really good. Just what's your pre-snap process? You break the huddle. What are you looking at? What are we keying? Are we looking in the right areas? What's the concept if it's a pass play? Am I looking in the right spot? Absolutely. There's all sorts of things to talk about with that.
It's kind of unusual to ask a player, especially like Tyrod, who's been in the league forever. Did you have to do some convincing, or how are those conversations when you're telling the quarterback about this?
No, we didn't have to convince them of anything because they look at it and they go, this is a way for me to improve. And that's what they're all here to do, is they're all here to find a way to get better and help contribute to the team and get us some more wins on the board. So there was no convincing needed there.
There's been a lot of discussion about reads and progressions and how to improve that. Even specifically, I know Justin wants to do a lot of things, but like the progressions and the reads and making that an improved aspect of Justin's game. Mm-hmm. Having that on the helmet, does that help you more now than maybe years where you didn't have it? Like, is this an even better teaching tool to improve that aspect of his game?
Yeah, it sure could. It sure could. I mean, you ultimately watch all of the tape, and I think with the familiarity for him with the offense and the concepts and the timing of those plays and where he really needs to be when, I think just the reps is going to be the best part for that, and just understanding those things. But yeah, I think it's an advantage for us for sure.
Is Membu having some of those rookie buffering moments as well? And how would you assess his progress so far?
Yeah, I think everybody, and not just the rookies, right? Not just the rookies here. Like everybody, as we're getting to learn this system, there's going to be some thinking going on as we get used to the terminology and how we want to do things. And I've got to know the play, and then I've got to know the technique the coach wants. Well, what's the defense? There's a lot of different variables that go on. So I think everybody has a little bit of that to some degree. I don't want to just call out the rookies on some of that stuff,
What jumps out to you about him?
What jumps out to me about Membu?
Yeah.
He loves football. He loves football. And that's what you want. We want a team with a bunch of guys that love football, and that's been glaring for me with that player.
How was Alan's last one here? Getting into everything and picking up everything.
Alan has done a remarkable job, really trying to learn the system. Right, he'd been in a system for a long time, and this is maybe the first one that's been a little different for him. But he's been great in meetings. He's asking questions. He's talking to me on the field. What do you think about this? And so it's Alan's been really good. It's been really nice to have him.
Morning. Talk about the progression of OTAs, minicamp. Feel like things have been going well. Feel like we're moving in the right direction. I always say it's early because we're still in shorts and T-shirts to see exactly the identity of a lot of the individuals. But from a standpoint of the effort, the urgency, the tempo, the things that we're asking the guys to do, I'm pleased. And with that, I'll take your questions.
What percentage would you say of the defense you've installed this spring, and what's the process when they come back in the summer?
I don't like really to get into numbers. As I stated last week, man, we're going to do whatever it takes to put the guys in position to be successful. And most importantly, we're going to do what they're able to do. And the guys that we have, that gives us the opportunity to be able to do a lot of things. So from a standpoint of percentage, I can't say that. We dealt with a lot of situational football, and I think AG does a tremendous job of that, of putting us in those situations. So that's where we are thus far.
What can players do during this break to kind of give themselves a little bit, make sure they're in a good position once training camp starts in late July?
Well, one of the things that we always talk about is really the consistency and how we operate. So, yes, it's good to get away, have some downtime, enjoy your family. But we got to continue to emphasize, our conditioning, working out, guys staying in the playbook, still studying, doing things like that. So when we come back, we're starting exactly where we left off.
What's the next step for Sauce Gardner?
It's so many things that I feel like Sauce can do. Again, the word consistent. He's been a Pro Bowl player. How consistent can he be to take it to another level? And that's one of the things that I challenged him day one when we had our conversation. I felt like, and you guys feel the same way, that he's one of the top corners in the league. But that consistency of being that dominant player each and every week, that's what we're looking for. And that's been his challenge this offseason. He's very gifted, and I told him sometimes your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. He's a guy that sometimes at 85% is still better than everybody around him. So his thing is, and I tell him, compete against yourself. And that's where he has to get better, which he will.
I'm sorry, when you say he's gifted and everything, what specifically stands out about him? Long and everything?
You said it, to start there. He got great length, which he utilizes at the line of scrimmage for his press man. I feel like he has deep vertical speed to be able to run with the guys down the field. Good transition in and out of his breaks at the top end of the route. And as I stated last time, I think he has a different lens in how he sees and processes the game.
How much of the next step for him is also I know he bats down a lot of balls, but reeling in interceptions. I know he was frustrated with that last year.
That's finishing, as we talk about, and he's been working on that. For us, taking more time with the jugs and getting extra catches in, and understanding how to catch the ball away from your body, just like a receiver would do. But I would say this, and I know there's a lot of talk about him, but he's only going to be as good as the guys around him. So it's all about trying to make sure that we all, particularly on the back ends, pushing in the same direction.
How was his tackling last year, and how demanding are you of your corners in terms of tackling?
I would answer the second question first. Our identity of our defense is not how physical our front seven is. Everybody thinks that. The identity of how physical you are is on the back end with our corners and our safety stepping up and making tackles. What I've seen on tape, and you can go all the way back to college, he's shown the level of toughness and the willingness to get it done, along with everybody else back there. So we all know in the league they're going to sit here and crack the support, whether it's the linebacker or the safety, and say my running back is better than your corner. So we understand and know that, and that's the tackle that we have to consistently make each and every week.
How is Will McDonald? A lot of talk to him now. He's obviously great. He's very agile and has great spin move and stuff, but he needs to win more with power. How's he progressed with that? I know he put on some muscle, and how's he done in that?
A lot of credit to our strength and conditioning staff. I think those guys have done a tremendous job since we've been here, and laying a foundation with those guys, as AG talks about all the time, getting bigger, stronger, and faster. And you can see that with a lot of our players. One thing I don't think Will gets a lot of credit for, and everything that you alluded to and said is true, but he's pretty stout when it comes to anchoring and setting the edge in the defense. The thing that he needs to be consistent with is understanding his gap and maintaining that. Getting these guys to understand there's 11 guys doing one job, and have trust in your teammate on the outside and the inside of you that they're going to be in their gap as well. So, yes, I'm pleased that he's putting on the mask, but I'm also happy that the fact that I've seen on tape and what I've seen thus far, that he can set the edge in the run game.
How would you assess the rookies, Thomas and Moore, throughout their first month within the program?
I think those guys are doing well. I think the number one thing that we talk about as a staff, it has yet to be too big for them. Those guys have stepped in, accepted the challenge, do a hell of a job when they're out there communicating and talking, staying ahead of the down, as I always talk about, for us understanding the formation and what we can get pre-snap to allow us to be able to check or rotate or whatever we have to do. And those guys compete. You saw one with AZ, I think last week, 2 weeks ago with Garrett, on the sideline in the end zone, knocking the ball down. So those guys are very competitive, and they fit our DNA.
With tackling, I know you can work on dummies, things like that, but you don't tackle human beings, either in training camp, in the most physical practices. They don't go to the ground. Is it hard to teach tackling? Is it hard to make sure that the tackling is where it needs to be when you don't really do it until September 7th? Or preseason games, I guess, but the starters might not be in there then.
Yeah, I think the mindset is there every day in how we finish. The physical part, as you mentioned, for us taking them to the ground is not there. But I think every day, and we talk about finishing in a dominant position with our knees bent, ready to encore, tagging off the ball carrier. So that repetition and process of it, I think you're getting, the tackling aspect there. But we will have some elements from talking to AG during training camp that we will, tackle, because I've always said it, and he talks about it as well. It's hard to ask the guys to do something in the game that you haven't put those guys in position in practice.
Take a couple more. How does Jamie and Sherwood fit the defense from a size, speed standpoint? And also, I'm just wondering, I know he was a really good player. With Thomas Davis was kind of a same body type in Carolina. Wasn't he like this more of a 6', a little undersized but fast? Any comparison?
And I'm glad you said comparison. That's one of the things that I try to stay away from in comparing guys. I do love the two that I have. I think they sometimes may put you in the frame of some of the previous guys, whether it's San Fran or Carolina. The thing that you have to have in this day and time is speed, and they have that. That's the thing that we look for, being able to run sideline to sideline, but still having the physicality to be able to get downhill and get the double teams off. And it goes back to, again, our weapons, eyes, hands, hips, and feet, and being violent with our strike, and those guys have that. Thank you. Guys, have a good day.